Hello team, in this video I'm going to talk about different ways of tracking and storing progress photos as well as measurements. But before we get to that, just note this is completely optional and it is by no means required on any health and fitness journey. The other thing to note is that progress comes in so many different forms, and never would I ever recommend to a client that they solely focus on the changes they see with their measurements or their photos as success. Why would we measure progress photos or measurements? There are two main reasons why it can be beneficial. Reason number one is you can gauge what's happening with your photos and measurements to determine if you'd like to make changes and alterations to your nutrition and your workout protocol to ultimately reflect back into those measurements or those photos. The other reason why it can be beneficial is it can be very motivating if you yield desirable results when going back to remeasure or retake photos, and from there continue to build on your fitness and nutrition habits. So with that being said, there are four main protocols that I have clients use, and with those four protocols I recommend a minimum of two, because one particular protocol might not tell some of the story from another protocol. And one of my favorite sayings is, don't put all of your eggs in the scale basket. So let's start off with the scale. First and foremost, if you're going to be measuring body weight, it is never a good idea to do sporadic weight measurements. This can often lead to some negative emotions. It can often lead to unreliable results is the word I was looking for, because your weight can change and fluctuate on any given day by a matter of couple pounds to several pounds. And so with that, it's important that if you're going to use the scale, you want to be consistent with it. Measure first thing in the morning, always wearing either the same clothing or no clothing, depending on where you are, and take a few measurements per week, and then from there average it out to see what's happening. There is an app called Happy Scale that I use, that Suzanne put me onto, which is great for automatically putting in your averages for you. And then again, what I recommend is a minimum of 2 times a week. But what I do for myself personally is as many times as I remember first thing in the morning throughout the week, but never sporadic. Option number 2 is progress photos. And so with your progress photos, you can store them right in the app. Nobody can see them except for you or I. If you don't want to store them in the app, by no means, or by all means, you do not have to. The best thing to do for progress photos is to make sure you have the same lighting, you're wearing the same clothing, and you're in the same room. And then with that, you can take front, you can take side, and you can take back. Again, it's all optional, and the app will walk you through how to do so. With progress photos, if you want to enter them into your calendar to store them within the app, simply click on the blue circle with that white plus sign in there, and then click on photos, and the app will prompt you to do so. Option number 3 is circumference measurements. With circumference measurements, I recommend taking 4, but again, completely optional, totally up to you. I don't like to go overkill. You'll see in the Trainerize app, you can store a variety of different measurements, but I think 4 is plenty. And with that, usually the arm, the waist, the hips, and one of your thighs. Again, totally optional. And with that, I will link within this post a YouTube video that shows you my recommendations on how to do so. And then the final one is my favorite one, which is clothing. Have an article of clothing that you use, that when you put on, one of my favorite things as a trainer is hearing when clients are so pumped that they put on whatever outfit it is and they felt strong and they felt confident within that outfit. So voila, this concludes different measurements protocols that you can use to check on your progress and see what's happening with your workouts and your nutrition. See if you want to change anything. The one thing I want you to definitely remember is slow and steady wins this race no matter what, and always be conscious and aware of all of the amazing things you are achieving on your health and fitness journey, unrelated to your measurements and your photos. If you have any questions for me, as always, feel free to send me an email.